Hello everyone, and welcome back to What's Brewing. In today's episode, we're sitting down with David Hines, co-owner and founder of Huya Craft Coffee out of Youngsville, Louisiana. But before we get into it, let's go ahead and roll that beautiful B-roll. Okay, David, welcome. I'm excited to finally get to sit down with you. So go ahead and just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
I'm David Hines. I'm one of the owners of Huya Craft Coffee. It's myself, my wife Shayna Hines, and our business partner Kylie Lagarde. The three of us came up with Huya back in February of 2020.
Well, awesome, man. February 2020. So that was last year during the pandemic. How'd that come about? Like how'd that work out?
So Shane and I had a coffee trailer back in 2016 and 17. Kylie was one of our customers, and in 2020, in February, she reached out to us. She was interested in opening a coffee shop and wanted to know if we would be interested in partnering up with her. And it's been a match made in heaven ever since.
So how did your journey get you into coffee?
It's really weird. 2015, September of 2015. It's odd to remember that date, but it's the first time I had ever had coffee. I didn't drink coffee growing up, didn't drink it as a teen or in my 20s. So right before I turned 30, I was with a buddy of mine at Starbucks, and he was getting a coffee, and the girl in front of us had ordered something wrong. And however it worked out, they had made a coffee extra, and they just gave it to me. And it was a Java chip Frappuccino that got me hooked.
Got you hooked?
Yeah, I wanted to recreate it, and from there, it just led me down this journey of coffee.
So you started with you started with Starbucks.
A very dessert coffee, yeah.
A very dessert coffee, and now from that, now that you've gone on a coffee journey, what's your favorite coffee? What kind of pour now?
It's either going to be just a single origin drip, or pour over, or an Americano.
Wow, yeah, that's a big jump.
It's a big jump. I personally don't like any milk or any additives in my coffee, and it's nothing against anybody who does. It's just for me, I really like just straight coffee.
Oh, that's awesome, man. So let's go back to the name, Huya. I'm not gonna lie, when I first heard it, it brought back memories of Al Pacino going Huya, you know. So where does the name come from?
So my wife and kids and our business partner's husband and their kids are all part of the Chitimacha tribe in Sharonton. My wife's mother and our business partner's aunt, we're the same person, she taught the language and passed down the language to my wife, and who in turn passed it down to our kids. They teach the language at the school. They have a culture class, our kids go to it. And it's a language that we use in our house. It's not a language that you can be fluent in. But we would use things like Huya, which means thank you. Anytime one of the girls did something for us, it's hey, Huya, sweetheart. Or if they do something wrong, it's gai, which means no. So we use those words in the house. And so when we were coming up with a name for the business, I have a really good video of Vivian, my youngest, saying Huya, and it just stuck. It has a second meaning of goodness. So it's something that we try to implement into our business, which we're just very thankful to be here, thankful to be serving you. And we're also wanting to give you something good. We want you to feel better when you leave and just feel this feeling of goodness when you leave from us. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. So now you said you had a journey with coffee. So where did you actually, before, after Starbucks and then getting into the coffee business and things like that, where did you start out at? What was your grassroots starting of coffee business?
So we started with the coffee trailer. I was in a position where I was looking for a job. I was having difficulty finding one, and Shane and I were wanting to get into some sort of business. We had looked into doing a coffee trailer because I wasn't ready to go full brick and mortar at the time. So we did the coffee trailer, and it was through that we went to a school in Texas called Texas Coffee School, ran by a guy named Tom Vincent. One of the best investments we ever made. Went to his school, and that's where I was exposed to this style of coffee in the specialty coffee world, and it changed the journey, the trajectory of where we were going.
That's awesome. So what was the layout of the coffee trailer? So like I'm picturing, because when you said that, it's like I used to do the food truck roundup they had here in Lafayette a lot, and I'm a big fan of food trucks. So like was it set up like that where it had a window and you walked up to the window to order, or did you get to go inside of the trailer? Like how did that work out?
So it was really cool. I think we were one of the only ones in the area at the time that were doing it, or throughout the country that was doing it at the time. When we were going through the build out phase, we found that it didn't cost much more to add an extra 4 feet to the trailer of length, an extra foot of height, and just make it a little bit wider. And in doing so, it gave us a chance to allow customers to come inside. It gave us a chance to operate in the winter when it was cold. If it was raining, customers could come inside. We had a bar set up on the inside with a couch. We had a drive-through window and a conventional walk-up service window like you would see from a regular food truck.
So I love the name. You told me the name one time of the food truck. It was Overbrewed?
Brewed Over.
Brewed Over.
Yep.
That sounds like a funny sitcom that would be on TV that takes place in a coffee shop.
It was really cool. The name had to do more with we were starting over, going down a different path than what we had been on before, and just brewed over. My wife has a really good it's not a quote, but it's a line about coffee and how coffee, when you grind it up and try to destroy it, that's how it becomes better. When you grind it up into fine pieces and you break it down to its fine particles, you just add water and it makes it something that millions of people enjoy every day. It was just something about coffee and that brought us to that name.
So tell me some of the special things you guys do at Huya that kind of like is a differentiator from the crowd.
Where we're at now, there's 2 coffee shops. I can see one out of my back door, and I can see one out of my front door. There's 2 coffee shops right in this area, and there's a lot of really good coffee shops in the Lafayette area in general. So we knew we had to separate ourselves, and some of the ways that we do it are we make all of our own syrups. We do that by getting sugar from a local sugar mill. It's one that I worked at back in 2019 and 2020, and we go there a few times. We go there about once a month and pick up a lot of sugar, bring it back here. We make simple syrup out of it, and then we make our own extracts. So every syrup you see here, except for the sugar-free syrups, we make. We make our mocha, our white mocha, our chai, caramel, vanilla. We make all of it in-house. It gives us a lot of control over the flavor and the ingredients and what goes in it and what you're being provided. We also do a lot of conventional, our traditional drinks when it comes to coffee, and we do a lot of contemporary drinks. So if you come in and you ask for a caramel macchiato, hey, I know what that is, I can fix that for you. If you come in and ask for a traditional macchiato, I can do that very well too. And we do that in a very seamless way. Just by the way you order it, we know what you're looking for, and we go ahead and fix it for you. So we like to do stuff like that. The pastry case, we make a lot of things in-house. The only things we don't make are the macarons. We get those from Boudin in Lafayette. And it's just because she does it so well. But everything else we do in-house. The Pop Tarts, the muffins, any of the treats that you see in the pastry case come from us, and we bake those.
That's awesome. So in that pastry case, there's one certain thing in that pastry case I think that keeps them all coming back.
Pop Tarts.
Pop Tarts.
We make
They make amazing homemade Pop Tarts. Homemade Pop Tarts. These aren't the box Pop Tarts, kids. All right. So what made you start doing homemade Pop Tarts?
So when we opened up, another really good thing that we invested in was knowing where we weren't good at, and that was in the kitchen. We were focusing on a lot of things, and we knew that our strong suit wasn't necessarily the kitchen. And we hired a local pastry chef that we know. Her name is Amanda Wildblood. Another one of the best things we could have ever done for our business was bringing Amanda in. She helped us set up our kitchen. She helped us set up processes and just taught us how to run the kitchen. Amanda helped us with the process of coming up with the Pop-Tarts. And then from there, we just started building on that with coming up with unique flavors, unique combinations. And we were moving a lot of them. And then in February, we won a competition with General Mills for our Boudin Pop Tart. And from there, it just really took off, and we make a bunch of Pop Tarts.
I didn't know about that last one. You guys won a competition with General Mills?
We did. So it's Neighborhood to Nations, or Nations to Neighborhood. I'll have to find out which one. It's one of the two, and I can never remember which one. But they, our rep from Cisco, told us that we should apply and send a recipe in, something that we do to them for a competition they do every year. And we sent our Boudin Pop Tart in, and we ended up winning. We were one of 20 that win throughout the country. It's a really big thing. They have some restaurants that put in every year and have been doing that for years and never made it very far. And we were really excited when we made it through the first process. And then when we eventually won, it was just a big deal for us. We won, there was some prize money, and then what really helped was the marketing. They helped us with our marketing when it came to the local media that we just didn't have a foothold in. And then that's when the Pop Tarts really took off.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. So you said it was your Boudin Pop Tart that went with General Mills, right?
Yeah.
So what all comes, obviously it's pastry and Boudin, but what all comes on it?
So the Boudin Pop Tart starts with our pastry dough. And then from there, we fill it with Boudin that we make in-house. I make it about once a month. I do about a 25-pound batch once a month. So we fill it with our Boudin, pepper jack cheese, and then when we bake it, and once it's done, we top it with some local pepper jelly by Nani's Pepper Jelly here in town, and some bacon. And it's outstanding. You can build on that by adding an egg and some creamy sriracha that we make in-house. And that's a good meal.
That sounds like a Sunday morning breakfast of champions.
It
is. Sounds like
it is a great meal. Yeah, it's really good. So it's in the Boudin Pop Tart's one of our best sellers. We're known for it. It's not even on our menu because we were actually going to do away with it before we won the competition. We weren't moving many of them. We were getting ready to do away with it.
Oh God, that makes me sad.
If not do away with it,
that's one of my favorite things.
If not do away with it, extremely just have a limited time offer, limited offerings, something like that. But keeping up with it was getting hard because we were moving so little of them. And then when the competition came in and it got the notoriety, it really took off.
Yeah, and I noticed it still isn't on the menu quite yet. It's a little sign that's by the register, so you feel like it's like the secret menu item when you go in. Hey, you got that Boudin Pop Tart,
So we had done our menu and had already paid for the menu. It was printed, and we were installing it about the same time that the competition came through. And so that's why it's not on the menu, because it's one of those deals we were deciding if we were going to phase it in or out. And if you knew we had it, we had it. If not, it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
And so now we're just trying to tell people, hey, we got a Boudin Pop Tart. It'll be on the next menu in January.
Oh yeah, I mean, and guys, come out here and try it. It's worth the price of admission. Not only one, they have great coffee, they have Boudin in a Pop Tart. You can't beat that. Also, there's another thing. I come in here frequently. One thing that I love seeing is the process you guys do when you make coffee. When you make the coffee, like I noticed, there's scales. Everybody's weighing things. How did that whole process come about? How did you get that nailed down to where it's almost like the same kind of cup each time?
It's another, I mentioned it earlier with the investing and taking a course with Tom Vincent with Texas Coffee School in Fort Worth, Texas. So during his course, he mentioned that to keep things really consistent across several different skill levels of baristas, or depending on their mood of the day, it's just that's what'll mess up a shop. So early on, we implemented those things from training. We had it at the coffee trailer, and then coming into here, we had the scales. And it's a really good way to keep things consistent. So tomorrow, if you come in, the cup's going to taste the exact same. We have a process, and it was really easy to train not only the new baristas, but also ones that had prior experience to kind of implement these things into their routine. And it makes a difference. We've dialed in our flavors, and we do that when we get new beans in. We'll get in there and dial in the shot and make sure it's coming out right. But it's a good way to keep it consistent. It's a good way to find out if the shot isn't coming out right. It's a really easy way to figure out and troubleshoot what it could be. It's usually, if you're weighing everything and timing everything, it's only going to be your grind size, and you can adjust that throughout the day, which you need to.
Okay. Well, to me, that's awesome. It's like, because I every time I've come, it's always, number one, I love the fact that it's kind of like Cheers. You kind of walk in and everybody knows your name. You always, hey, what's up? How you doing? Number two, everybody knows your beverage. It might change from day to day, but majority is the same, so that's really nice. And two, every time I get the beverage, it's the same exact kind of beverage. You know, it's complete consistency, and to me, that's what you don't really get sometimes out of like a larger brand, a larger organization's thing. When more of like a one shop like you guys have here, where focus is on it. Now, with speaking of focusing on the craft of coffee, because it's in the name, there's one thing we did called a Brew Trilogy. Could you explain that for me?
So the Brew Trilogy, and it's amazing how it came up. We have a really good customer called Mr. Ron who comes in, and he wanted to bring his nephew in to see the shop. So I was serving him some coffee. He had a really good experience at our Slow Bar. Slow Bar is an area where things slow down a little bit. We do a lot of by the cup options. We've got about 7 different brew styles that we can do, and there's usually about 12 different beans that we can brew up for you. So I gave him a show. We sat there for about an hour, and I showed him different coffees. The next day he called me on the phone and he asked me if I would mind, he had some business partners in town. He asked me if I'd mind entertaining them. So not at all, bring them in. So they came in, and it was kind of a spur of the moment deal. And the only thing I could think to do was show them the legs that one bean can have. So on espresso at the time, we had organic Java. And I brewed him and his friends some espresso shots, and then using the same beans, just a different grind setting and a different brew style, made them a cup of coffee, and then using another grind style and brew style and setting, another style of coffee, and just showed them how each different brew style and grind setting will bring out different flavors and different mouthfeel and different experience with the same bean. And we did this with using different cups and different temperatures and different grind settings and brew styles. And each time they tried it, it's like a different bean. And it's the same bean from the same bag. It's just amazing the legs that one bean can have. I really enjoyed it because I enjoyed the showmanship of it. They really enjoyed it. And so we ended up making an offering that we do. It's called the Brew Trilogy. It's for you and a guest. They come in, they each get a shot of espresso, they each get a serving of filtered coffee, and they each get a serving of a non-paper filtered coffee. So like a full immersion French press or a siphon or something like that. And then it comes with a sandwich and a dessert that we usually make for that particular sitting. Okay.
Yeah, so I remember when we did it, that was the thing that fascinated me was like it's 3 different types of coffee. And no matter what, just let you know by the end of it, if you are able to sleep that night, I'm impressed. I think I used the term from the movie Talladega Nights. I was all jacked up on Mountain Dew, if you will. Like I was hyper. I felt like I got a lot done that day. But it was interesting, like the differences of taste, right? Like, and not just different in taste, the differences of the strength taste in coffee, right? So like to me, we did the espresso, we did the pour over, and we did I've been calling it the siphon brew. I've been calling it vacuum brew, just because
it goes by both. Yep,
it goes by both. Just the way it sucks everything up. It's science. I mean, you're watching chemistry happen in front of you. But to me, it was interesting, like tasting like espresso, obviously very strong. Then you move on to the pour over, which is not as strong, but still kick you. And then you got the vacuum brew, which was like, I'm pretty sure I could drink that just as my regular beverage on a normal day, you know, and it was great. And I think you guys putting something like that together for people that are trying to get introduced to like, hey, let's diversify our palates. That's really great.
To touch on that, one of the things that I wanted to do when we opened the shop, and Kylie and Shayna felt the same way, is we wanted to make coffee and the coffee shop experience really approachable, and try to do it in a really non-pretentious way, and make coffee and the conversation around coffee very approachable and very easy to have. I know I still personally feel very intimidated going into some shops, and that's something I didn't want in our shop. So you touched on it earlier about when people come in, they know your name. It's to make you feel comfortable coming in. It's the way they welcome you. Well, they let you know you're welcome here. You're wanted here. Just your presence. You don't have to buy anything. If you just want to come hang out, you're just wanted here. When it goes to ordering your coffee, I want you to feel comfortable. Whether you order a caramel macchiato or a traditional macchiato, I'm not going to look at you weird either way. We're just going to make your drink and make it as good as we can, and so that you'll enjoy it and you'll just feel better when you leave here. And that's part of the conversation we try to have with the Brew Trilogy. It's to expose people to these different styles of coffee, to get outside that comfort zone, so that they can experience and have a more in-depth conversation about the coffee. And then we can go into different things like philosophy and just how to treat people, or philosophy in business. And it touches on all that, but it starts with just making people comfortable and making it a comfortable environment and a welcome and wanted environment.
Yeah, it's one of the things that keeps me coming back here daily. You know, it's really nice. So I want to get into just two more things and then we're going to wrap up. So one, where do y'all get your actual beans from?
So we get it locally roasted at Rev Coffee Roasters in downtown Lafayette. It's ran by Nathaniel Johnson and Chris Pickle, probably two of the best guys that I know. I'm so thankful to have them as our roaster and just have them help us through this journey. I don't know where we'd be without them. Just a really great group over there, and it's a really great business.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Rev. I know. I think you and I talked before. What's your favorite bean that they have?
Ethiopia. Just about anything from Ethiopia. The one they currently have, the Yergersteff, is really good. I like that a lot. I like those fruitier beans. They do a really good job roasting that one. Yes. The Honduras is really good though. The one they just put out is really good too.
See, I need to try the Honduras before I leave. I'm gonna be super caffeinated today, guys. Two, whenever I first contacted you, I thought you had another last name.
Yep, Macintosh.
Why did you choose Mac? Now, one, if you know, our IT side of the business does Mac OS consulting and everything like that. So I want to hear, because whenever I said it's funny, his last name is Macintosh. His last name is Macintosh. Isn't that just fate? Why is your last name Macintosh?
Years ago, in another lifetime, I wanted to change my last name on Facebook, and I was sitting at my desk trying to figure out what last name I was going to put. It reminds me of the movie Blank Check, where the kid's sitting at his desk, he's got a blank check, and he needs to put a name on it, and he's looking around his room. I was doing the same thing in my office, looking around and just not knowing what I was going to do, and then it hit me with the movie Macintosh. So I changed it to Macintosh. Then, like I said, that was back in 2012. And I've never gone through the process or been able to figure out the process to change it back. So it's still just Macintosh. We've ran with it. I've been credited in a magazine as David Macintosh. Just it's fine.
Like when before we even started the interview, I asked you, I'm like, should I call you David Hines, or David Macintosh? Which one do you want to go by?
David Hines. If I can figure out how to change it back, I would, especially with this business. But I just haven't been able to figure it out, and so it's been like that for years. My wife's last name on Facebook is Macintosh now. She changed hers not long after I did mine, and we've just kind of ran with it.
Oh, that's great. Well, David, it has been awesome getting to sit here and talk with you on camera. If you could just actually look at the camera and tell them how can they find you?
They can find us at 1901 Shaman Metairie in Youngsville, Suite 1. We're right here next to Lux Spa, Heirloom, Pour, and J. Elliott. And then next door to us is Bourre's Restaurant. Hopefully they'll be opening back up in January. Great group of people there too. Zorbas and Local Insurance. It's a great area to come check out. You can have a whole day or a date night all in one area. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, both under Huya Craft Coffee. And we have an online ordering app, Odeco. It's a great ordering app online.
Awesome, David, and you can just tell that how great your character is in the introduction of your business and where to find you. You included a business that was right by you.
They're just great people, man.
Like it was awesome. So that's going to do it for us here at What's Brewing. Thank you very much. Thank you, David, again.
Oh, thank you.
And if you like what you see here, go ahead and hit that like button. If you want to keep up with the videos that we keep putting out, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And thank you again, and we will see you in the next one.